Venus is a very important goddess for South Americans and Mayans.
Well, people have lived in this region for over 10,000 years, in the Mojave Desert region and the Death Valley region.
Today, a planetary conjunction will take place. We'll be able to see Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury.
I just fell in love with the vast, large landscape. The fact that you can be in such a place and feel so small.
It's a human need to search beyond one's own self in this enormous universe.
So I'm just giving you the answers to what you can do to make the world sustainable for everyone.
Venus is the second planet in our solar system in order of distance from the Sun. It has been named after the Roman goddess of love. It is also known as the sister planet to Earth, since it is similar in size, mass, and composition. The Mariner 2 space probe was the first space mission to explore this planet. On December 14, 1962, it flew over the surface of Venus at an altitude of 34,800 kilometers. This was the first successful interplanetary mission, the first time humankind managed to get a probe to another planet. The instruments in Mariner 2 revealed a real inferno on Venus, measuring temperatures that reached over 420 degrees Celsius, rendering life impossible. If we were to set foot on Venus, it would not be an enjoyable experience. After the Moon, Venus is the brightest object in the night sky, always appearing near the Sun at dusk and dawn. Since ancient times, its brightness has aroused our curiosity and imagination. Venus is usually associated with the feminine mystique as well as with the concept of beauty. In the capital city of Chile, we are attending the premiere of a play that explores these issues.
My name is Aravina Soto. I'm an actress, and I'm 30 years old. This play is called Venus in Furs, and it's about a theater director named Thomas. He's a rather conceited fellow and is desperately looking for a leading lady for his next play. The director has a preconceived image of the actress. He thinks she should be silly and foolish, an actress who is not feminine, but dresses up to look feminine. She's gaudy, as if she were a helium trip, as he says. And then a girl called Vanda arrives, and she's strangely similar to the character that he's looking for. She seems very silly, but in the end, she is more clever than he. And she turns the casting around completely to show him that women are more than their appearance.
Pero sospecho que hay más detrás de su fascinación por la piel que una simple estética renacentista.
Venus is a Roman goddess. In Greece, she was known as Aphrodite, the goddess of beauty, fertility, and femininity. Aphrodite has been used widely in literature, the arts, and music. Even though they always used these terms to represent the goddess of love and femininity, they always related it to the body. And this bothers me because women are more than that. We also think we're intelligent. We're not just a body. The old concept of beauty was very different from what it is nowadays. Women are more voluptuous, with more curves, plumper, pinker, and healthier. Our current concept of beauty is created by television, graphics, and magazines. The models are painfully thin, not very healthy looking at all.
Usted conoció íntimamente a mi estola y ustedes dos solo acaban de conocerse.
My relationship with the sky started when I was a young child. I grew up in a place where the stars could be seen very clearly. One could follow the cycles of the moon. I got a map of the stars as a gift, and I learned the name of each constellation. And I was always very keen to watch what was above me. I think it is a need we humans have to search beyond one's own self in this enormous universe.
Our trip to discover the secrets of Venus continues in Mexico, in the Maya area known as Chichen Itzá. The Mayans developed an exquisite knowledge of Venus. For many generations, the priests observed and kept careful records of the passage of this star, which enabled them to calculate and predict the movement of Venus in the sky. This knowledge was left for posterity, reflected in monumental buildings, such as the Temple of Kukulkán.
This site is the result of the merger of two culturally different groups. The local Mayans mixed with groups that came from the center of Mexico. This happened around the year 1000. The architecture here is a blend of both. Especially with this pyramid, the largest and tallest in the city. We can see there are many elements connected to observing the sky. It has many elements that make it unique.
Jesus Galindo uses several instruments to measure the alignment of this monumental building with the sky.
For over 25 years, I have been interested in studying the sky from a cultural point of view. At first, it was quite difficult to move beyond what astronomy gave me. Astronomy measures, calculates, verifies, and still the question remains, why? This is the axis of symmetry upwards, up to there. There you can see the middle point of the door that should match with this point. It is a coincidence.
According to research carried out by Jesus, the Kukulkán temple was built taking into account the sky and their knowledge of the stars, giving shape to a giant stone calendar that marked the passage of time for the Mayans.
Whoever ordered this built directed that it should be oriented to reflect these calendar elements. This clearly indicates that they wanted to show their work on Earth concurred with the sacred principles of the calendar.
The Maya ruled every detail of their lives through several calendars in parallel. The solar calendar of 365 days, as well as the sacred ritual calendar of 260 days, which was related to the position of Venus over the sky. The Maya even knew that Venus and the Sun would be located exactly in the same position in the sky every 8 years.
No other people in Mesoamerica were able to develop a system similar to this. A beginning and then counting time, day after day. Moreover, their inscriptions, besides having so many days to identify the date, also provided information on the solar calendar and the phases of the moon. If the lunar month had 29 or 30 days, we know now it is 29 and a half, don't we? Well, it is an over-elaborated way of setting a moment in time. It is an exceptional feature of the Mayans, and, in this sense, they can be called the people of time.
Venus was the patron of war, marking periods for combat and sacrifice. When Venus shone in the sky, its appearance was considered dangerous since it returned from darkness, a place inhabited by the dead. And since Venus is never far away from the Sun, the Maya also linked Venus with the Sun as a kind of divine twin sister.
Around the equinoxes, on March 21st and September 21st, the position of the setting sun causes the 9 bodies of the pyramid to project their shadow over the railing of the north steps of the castle. It takes shape about 1 hour before the sun sets over the horizon. Then, on the top, a triangle appears, and then another, and another. There are 7 triangles that appear, and the last one coincides with the back of the serpent's head. It gives an illusion that this is a serpent of light and stone, which is the crucial moment of the event. This is associated with the fact that the pyramid is dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. The head of stone here clearly has a skin of feathers. Kukulkán is a literal translation of Quetzalcoatl. Quetzalcoatl, which is located in Nahuatl, is the center of Mexico, means a feathered serpent. This identifies Venus as the morning star, just before sunrise. The Quetzalcoatl deity is extremely important to Mesoamerica. Legend says that once the ancient gods invented the calendar and time counting, other gods, such as Quetzalcoatl, gave this knowledge as a gift to mankind. So Quetzalcoatl not only is connected to Venus, but also to keeping track of time.
Near the temple of Kukulkán, there is another monumental building that reflects the importance of Venus for the Mayans. This building, which is currently in ruins, would have served to mark the position of Venus and other objects in the sky.
It is one of the most important and interesting buildings in this city. Since archaeological exploration started, due to its architecture, it was called the observatory. But its shape came about by chance. Originally, a cylindrical building, over time it started to crumble, leaving the top with the appearance of a modern observatory. But they made it clear what this is all about. The building has 4 entrances, with a spiral-shaped staircase on top. That's why it's called El Caracol, the snail. Interestingly, they measured the line itself, as defined by architectural elements present here on the site. A line connecting this angle of the jambeau with the outside corner, so that if we stand in a certain place, we would see a slit which might be aligned with something in the sky.
The whole architecture of El Caracol was designed to mark key positions of Venus in the sky. Therefore, life on Earth was magically connected with the gods up there in the heavens. The Maya astronomers knew with great precision on which day Venus would appear through the west. Considering the available technology, their knowledge of mathematics and astronomy is remarkable. The counterpart to this sophisticated development was the high costs that people had to pay. Their fear of Venus was such that when it reappeared in the morning, the Maya would cover their chimneys so that any light shed into their homes would not harm them.
Here, we have another example of that oblique line, which joins 2 jambeaux through the same opening. This one points northeast. But if we walk here, we can see it points northwest. So these oblique lines are related to the furthest position of the moon, or the furthest position of Venus when it rises. So there is a great range of possibilities. At a given moment, there is an optical coincidence between the brightest object in the sky with the brightest object in the night, beside the moon, the quasi-stellar object point, which is a planet. According to historian Fray Bernardino de Sahagún, in central Mexico, the sun is the ultimate expression of sacredness. That is, God means sun. So the sun was a universal deity throughout Mesoamerica, which coincides with the fact that Venus was also a goddess and was followed in detail through observations, in great detail, in the Codex. It is a very important coincidence. Now, what did they really have in mind? We don't know. We're standing in front of the castle. This small platform was called the Venus platform since its discovery, due to the reliefs that can be seen here in the panels. It represents, according to similar symbols found inside, how Mayans may have displayed what is known as commensurability of the period of observations for the Sun and Venus. I believe that the name given to this platform makes sense, because Venus is in many ways represented here. In this panel, Quetzalcoatl, Kukulkán, is depicted as a serpent, from whose jaw the face of God would arise. In the left, there are the 2 figures that symbolically represent Venus as a great star, and on the right, through the glyph of the solar year, the sun.
The Mayans' fascination over Venus, the sun, the moon, and the stars is still alive to this day through several customs and expressions. A group of young people from the Chiapas area started a rock band to communicate the vision of the Maya to the future with words in their native language. They named their group Sak Tzevul.
El significado del nombre de Sak Tzevul,
The meaning of Sak Tzevul is lightning.
hay dos palabras para
There are two words that
referirse a
refer to
este
this
fenómeno,
phenomenon.
tanto el relámpago como
Lightning
la luz.
as light, and thunder is the other
Trueno,
word,
que
the
esta es
Tsauk.
otra palabra que es el chauk, ¿verdad? Entonces,
So this
esto
name,
de Sak
Sak
Tzevul,
Tzevul,
realmente
really means
viene por
Sak,
Sak.
the white
Sak
light.
es la luz blanca. Es
It is important to
rescatar
rescue our
estas
ancient
palabras
words.
antiguas.
Totelmeil, that word refers to father-mother.
Hacia el padre-madre.
It means that there is an entity that embodies both aspects,
Ambas cosas.
the feminine and the masculine, the balance of our humanity. The Mayan worldview is very different from our Western culture. Since in the West, we are taught that the father is the most important figure, the masculine, right? But our world concept had a balance between the masculine and the feminine. That is why the father-mother existed.
I believe in the magic of music very much. When they came here and I heard Damien singing, I couldn't believe it. It made me cry because it simply touched my heart. And I could see the stamp of our ancestors in his music.
Y, por ejemplo, también el concepto de,
Also, in our concept of language, the words we use, I like the expression totil in Maya. The expression says that when we're happy, the flowers bloomed in our hearts. We Japanese understand that sort of thing.
Entonces digo, toda esta serie de términos decimos, bueno,
So then I tell you, all these terms, we are thinking of bringing them up again. We are resuming these concepts once more, because they are not just words, like in the term Sak Tzevul, which means the pure, light that shines, whiteness, the purity of dawn, of light, as I say. So we are taking up again not only words, but concepts too.
con nuestra música, el mensaje que
With our music, the message we really want to deliver is that we're all the same. I am very moved when children listen to us and they simply say, "We like your music."
oyendo y simplemente me dicen, nos gusta tu música.
We return to the Yucatan area to explore Uxmal, an ancient Maya city that was established around the 7th century while Europe lived its dark ages, when Constantinople was consolidated as the capital of the Roman Empire in the east. Along with Chichen Itzá and Tikal, Uxmal is one of the main archaeological sites of the rich Mayan culture.
We are in the city of Uxmal, a Mayan city of the classic period. This is one of the largest pyramids in the city, called El Adivino, the sorcerer, which represents a very interesting example of architectural style of that era, the Puc style, characterized by lots of stone mosaics.
This imposing building is also known as the Pyramid of the Sorcerer. It is over 30 meters high, and to reach the top, one has to climb hundreds of narrow and very steep steps. Those climbing towards the temple could not lift their head during the ascent, nor turn their back to the gods when descending. With his instruments for astronomical measurement, Jesus investigates the likely alignment of the building with the heavens and the movement of the sun, the stars, and planets, such as Venus. Near the Piramide del Adivino, one finds the governor's palace, which also maintains important secrets about Venus.
This building is one of the largest and most elegant found here. It is unusually long, and all along its length, the top is formed by tridimensional mosaics, inlaid stones carved with different motifs. What is interesting, from an astronomical point of view, is that the figureheads of the god Sak, the Mayan god of rain, which features the crooked nose and eyes at the lower lid, contains the Venus glyph. That detail originated the idea that the building was associated with Venus. Around 25 years ago, some archaeoastronomer colleagues looked into this matter. The building can be understood very well through the axis of symmetry, the axis that splits the building in half. So if one stands over there, that line goes through the small platform to the cat-like chakmul, with two heads to the horizon. If you measure that line with respect to the north of the sky, you find what is out there. My colleagues determined that this indicates the furthest point where Venus rises, towards the southeast. Well, here we are in an archaeological niche. Here, there is a numerical indication of the relation of this building with Venus, since here, on both sides of this corner, the number 8 clearly appears. A bar of 5 and 3 circles. Approximately every 8 years, with respect to the sky in the background, Venus will be found in the same point. is no doubt that Venus was important. In the center of Mexico, it is Quetzalcoatl. Here, it is Kukulkán, the feathered serpent, associated with the morning star. In other cultures, the evening star is another body, a twin. The precious feathered serpent is dedicated to Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent of Quetzal. But Coatl, the serpent, also means a twin. That is why the Mexican slang word cuate means brother, like a twin. But really, it means serpent or twin, so it would be the precious twin of Venus. Quetzalcoatl also has a twin, Venus. In the center of Mexico, it is known as Xotl.
In the outskirts of the Chilean capital, we meet an avid fan of sky photography. Today is a very special day, since Venus will appear along with other celestial bodies near twilight, offering a real dance of planets, which we hope to capture.
My name is Michel Lacos, and I'm an amateur astrophotographer. Right now, we are in Lo Barnechea, and we are going to Achaya, the Chilean Association for Astronomy and Astronautics, where there is a good group of people. We'll find all sorts of equipment for astronomy to observe the deep sky. A telescope, binoculars, a wide-angle camera. Today, after sunset, we have a planetary conjunction, and we should be able to see Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. They'll form a close triangle between them.
My name is Eduardo Latorre, and I'm a partner here in Achaya. I'm building a telescope for a session of astrophotography today. Astrophotography requires quite a lot of equipment and training to capture good images. So one needs to be testing equipment constantly, adjusting. So we are taking advantage of this terrace here in Pochoco to fine-tune the equipment. When one travels to the north in search of dark skies, everything must work perfectly.
This is the hard part of putting the telescope together.
My name is Renan van Vadigard. I'm a director at the Cerro Pochoco Observatory, belonging to the Chilean Association Achaya. I'm installing a telescope with a 105mm diameter refractor to see what we can photograph tonight. Very likely, a well-known global cluster, the largest visible in that area, is Omega Centauri. Why that cluster? Because it is easier with the moon. Today we have the moon and fog, so I think a cluster will be easier than a nebulae, which are difficult to capture under these conditions.
There's a lot of calibrating to balance the equipment with the tripod. Then you direct it to the South Pole. We need a lot of patience for everything to work out well. The ideal thing would be to assemble all of this during the day, and then, at night, just to come and start working, to take the images. But now, I'm going to see if I can take one photograph, at least, of the conjunction over here. Well, right now it is 6 p.m. The sun set around half an hour ago. We're getting ready to take photos of the conjunction of Jupiter with Venus and Mercury, which are very low in the horizon. Unfortunately, right now, there's a thick layer of pollution, but nevertheless, we'll try to take images of the event. One hears about the dance of the planets because they do not follow constant motion with regard to each other. This isn't seen at first sight, but their movement varies, which is why it looks as if they were dancing in the sky, since one planet goes faster and the other slower.
We continue our journey on the Trail of Venus in the United States at a beautiful but hostile national park. We've come to this place because of its resemblance to Venus, especially its high temperature. In fact, according to the World Meteorological Association, Death Valley has the highest recorded temperature in the world, reaching a staggering 57 degrees Celsius. Venus is the hottest planet within our solar system, rendering life on its surface impossible.
My name is Death Valley Jim. I'm an author, explorer, historian of the Mojave Desert in the Death Valley region. Death Valley is located in California and Nevada, with the majority of it being in California. However, we are roughly 50 miles from the city of Las Vegas, Nevada. Well, Death Valley was named by the Jayhawkers, which was a group that came across the United States in 1849. They were making their way to the gold fields in Northern California. They just kind of stumbled upon Death Valley by accident. They took a wrong turn on the route that they were supposed to take, thinking that this was a shortcut. They got stranded here. A member of the party had actually died in the valley, and that is how they came to the name of Death Valley. It's quoted that one of the ladies that was in the party, as leaving the valley, she turned her head and looked away and waved and said, "Goodbye, Death Valley." Oh yes, the conditions are very harsh. There's literally very small amounts of water, and the water that you do find generally can't be drank because it's very salty. The hottest temperature in the world was recorded in Badwater, where we're at today, on July 10th, 1934. The temperature reached 134 degrees Fahrenheit.
The temperature in the surface of Venus exceeds 750 degrees Fahrenheit because its atmosphere is composed primarily of carbon dioxide, producing a thick and toxic air. This results in a huge greenhouse effect, which prevents the sun's heat from escaping into space. If it weren't for this greenhouse effect, temperatures on Venus could be similar to Earth.
Currently probably about 120 degrees outside, and it's a pretty typical summer day at Badwater. It's not a moist heat like a lot of people think, but it's a dry heat. So despite the fact that it's 120, it's still not unbearable. You can still step out of the vehicle, and while you're not comfortable, you're not in absolute agony as well, and you're not dripping with sweat like you might be in other locations. Well, people have lived in this region for over 10,000 years, and different cultures of native people, as far back as the Pinto Basin people and the Coso Range people, lived in the Mojave Desert region and the Death Valley region. They left significant amount of rock art in the form of petroglyphs, which is a pecked design, as well as pictographs, which is a painted design on rock formations throughout the area. As well, you can find village sites sometimes that are still intact with rock rings where the natives would make their homes. Also, they would be called sleep circles. Also grinding slicks and mortar holes where they would grind their food for consumption. Well, it was really just I came here one time and I just fell in love with the vast, large landscape. The fact that you can be in such a place and feel so small and insignificant because the mountains and the wide open space it just gives you that feeling that, it really puts you into perspective how small you are. That's always kind of a focus point that people always seem to mention to me as well is, wow, how small we are when we're down in the valley.
The greenhouse effect, which transforms Venus into a real inferno of heat, is a warning to us, the inhabitants of Earth. We are filling our air with carbon dioxide, which results in increasing temperatures at a global level. We should all act and contribute before it is too late and our planet becomes uninhabitable. The last stage of our trip takes us to see a dream conceived by Jack Fresco, an engineer and industrial designer. He has created the Venus Project, which seeks to promote a more balanced society in the world. Here in the District of Venus in the United States, this inventor has built prototypes of what he envisions to be the future of our world.
The main aims of the Venus Project is to bring all the nations of the world together and take care of the environment as well as one another. The end of the artificial boundaries that separate people and to declare all the Earth's resources as a common heritage of all the world's people. If you don't do that, there will always be territorial disputes and arguments. So I'm just giving you the answers to what you can do to make the world sustainable for everyone. The type of energy systems used in the future must be renewable, and they cannot produce any damage to the environment. That would be geothermal energy, the natural heat of the earth, wind power, solar power, wave power, ocean power. In other words, thermal differences in the ocean, we can generate power. So there are many possible sources of power that are clean and renewable. I designed the Venus Project to attempt to build a world that's sustainable. And in it, we work with other nations until we learn their methods of thinking and make adjustments. All people need the same thing. They need clean air, clean water, nutritious food, and a relevant education. So they understand that systems arrive at direction. People don't have opinions about what direction to take, but they do studies. And according to the studies and the feedback from instrumentation, this determines how we govern the planet. You cannot govern the planet unless you have a resource survey, and you have to know what the capacity is of a planet to support so many people. Then people have to be educated in the methods of determining how many people we wish to have on Earth. I don't mean to destroy people. I mean to manage population in relation to the Earth's resources. All the cities of the future will be based on circumferential design or circular design. The city will vary from 2,000 to 1,000,000 people. Therefore, the architecture will change, but the circumferential design will always be included. My dream for the future is to put an end to war and to learn to live on Earth and to take care of the failing Earth conditions, the dumping of garbage into the oceans and the rivers and pollution of the air. An end to that by all nations. Since there wouldn't be any separate nations, there wouldn't be any need for each nation to do their part. They act as one nation. We all need restoration of the ocean world. We all need clean air. We all need more arable land. We all need more nutritious foods. I feel that what we must do is learn how to cooperate with one another rather than compete with one another.